Howdy on Willex Lives. I think it's time to play a little Seven Days to Die. Oh man, I didn't realize it was so late in the game day. Alright, let's see, where did I leave off? My inventory is semi-full. I feel like I could probably... Where's my bike? Where did I leave my bike? It's not on me, right? I thought I left it right here. Is that it right there? No, it says it's here. Wait, this is the wrong bedroll. I'm at the wrong location. Okay, I think we did this place. Right? Because this is the place with the big dogs that I was trying to avoid. Those big hellhound wolf things that I am not prepared to fight. I'm going to take my stuff back home before it gets too dark here. 18. I don't know how long it takes to get to, 22. It's like 2 hours game time, but I don't know how long my normal session runs. I never pay attention, so I don't want... I mean, every zombie in that place seems to be a big yellow-eyed something. It's not as bad as the city, but still. There's been some not good times in there. It's a nice sunny day out today. I am sitting here, just got done with work for the week. Actual job work, and I'm thinking there's some outdoor activities that I need to do, some yard work. It is back to yard work season. I don't want to do it. We had the top of a tree blow down the driveway, and I need to get out there with a chainsaw and cut it up and get it out of the yard. And probably next week, maybe the week after. Probably next week, though, I'll have to start mowing the lawn again. Ugh. That means, I gotta get out there with a chainsaw and start trimming things. And I just don't wanna. I just don't wanna. I wanna sit here and play video games. That's what I wanna do. Play video games and watch TV. What I've always wanted to do my whole life. Alright. Speaking of watching, I finished all the way up through the newest episode of Handmaid's Tale. Good show. I like it. I do feel like the earlier seasons maybe are a little better than the later seasons. So there's a little bit of that. Show's been on. They're off on their own storyline now. They've moved away from the book And I forget what you get. I know I scrapped this stuff for parts to make bullets. It might be... We might be back at the era of me needing to go make bullets. Well, I don't really have the good gun yet, so there is that. Do need to get my hands on good gun stuff. Well, let's see what I can make. Okay, I like the machine gun. Okay, I can't make it yet. This is what I normally use. I need... Is this telling me I need 4 more books? And this is like 61. This is like 50 more books. Okay, let's see. I don't care for pistols. The 44 Desert Vulture. Oh, that's cool. 44 Magnum. Okay, there's the AK. I need a few more books to unlock that. I can make 7.62. So I could definitely start making bullets. I just need to get the supplies together. So that's probably what I'm going to go do, is go grab some supplies. Is there like, I like the AK because I can unload, you know, bullets when I need to. I think this is the one I like. It's the tactical assaults. That's what I normally go with. And that's like 26. All right, let's go see if we can't hunt down some supplies for bullets. I need lead. I know brass comes from looting. So I need lead and I need niter. I just saw the zombie. I wanted to kill him first. Dude, I just stabbed the ground twice through that guy. What the heck? Alright. Force time. Should have brought my bicycle. Don't know why I didn't. But I didn't. But yeah, spoilers for Handmaid's Tale. It's been pretty good. I like the first season. The first couple seasons. I think I like the first 4 seasons. The first 4 seasons were really good. And then I don't know how much is I don't know how far the book goes. I've never read it. And this guy looks weird. Are you just a stone? It's a weird stone hanging out there. I'm looking for... I think I'm looking for a white chunk sticking up out of the ground for niter and... Oh, I need coal as well. Right, coal. I was trying to think what all went into gunpowder. That was not the white chunk I'm looking for, by the way. I'm pretty sure I saw some while wandering around out through here. Okay, there's a rock again. I'm pretty sure this is just a rock. Yeah. Yep, like this is just a rock. Well, that's how you tell what to mine, right? Got to find the outcropping. I mean, I guess I could just dig down and start digging, but I think it's better to find the indicator. Um, yeah, Handmaid's Tale is like, if you've never seen it, it's like this crazy thing where like, not to, not to make it sound like real life, but population levels are dwindling, and this religious nationalist group uh, uses the dwindling population to seize control over most of the United States, and they don't really show the war part. Um, but there are indications that nuclear weapons were used, and um, but I'm not exactly sure where they were used. Because I don't know. They don't. I'm sure they must have shown a map at some point during this show, but I didn't pay attention to it. Because I think Alaska and Hawaii are the last two states that are still considered the United States. And everything else is Gilead, and they talk about the California colonies or settlements or something in Gilead. Um, and then most of the show takes place in Boston and Toronto. Oh, here we go. Here's nope. This is Niter. And so yeah, so I enjoyed the first four seasons quite a bit. It follows basically one character and her struggle with being captured and all the things they do to women in Gilead, um, and basically she's trying to although we're 6 seasons in and she's still ain't done it. She's trying to find her daughter, who was basically a toddler when the show started, and um, maybe she's a little older than a toddler. Maybe she's like I don't know how old is a toddler. Um, I think she was like 4. Let's say she was 4-ish when the show started, and now she's like 12. And okay, I think there's a thing, right, where the box will fall, but I want the boxes underneath here. So that my ladders are better. If I remember right. It's been a while since I've dug a mine shaft here. But yeah, and then at the end of season 4, they basically she makes it out, and then the guy who was kind of her slave master ends up in Toronto as well, and then she wants him obviously to suffer for what he's done, and the government is like making deals with him, and and then that comes to a head in the season finale, and And so season 5, which I hadn't seen before, um, gets a little. I mean, it was enjoyable, but it mostly deals with like crazy amounts of PTSD, I would guess you'd say, and which obviously you would have. And so, um, but I don't think the storyline is quite as good. And then it gets like they're still trying to find their daughter, and they know she's been moved, and but some of the things they talk about is just confusing to me because like they'll say something like they know she's in Colorado, like they were told she was in Colorado a long time ago, and then they're like, we can't leave Toronto because we don't want to move away from where she's at, and I'm like, Toronto and Colorado aren't next to each other. Who's in charge of the geography on this show? Um, uh, and then like, there's some abrupt character shifts that I don't appreciate, and there's this one guy, uh, I, like it feels like they weren't supposed to be main characters, so they had one personality when they were on the show in earlier seasons, and now that they're back on the show, they're like, oh well, this is gonna be a main character now, and so they've expanded their character personalities out a bit, and um and so it just seems weird how they act. And basically there's this guy named Joseph on the show, and he had written some books that there's a few characters who wrote the books that Gilead based their society off of, and apparently he came up with the idea for some of what's happened, but they don't ever really lay the blame on specifically who came up with what idea, just that he wrote books that they used. And so when you're first introduced to him, he's basically like, he doesn't agree with any of the religious stuff, and he's like a genius civics guy, and so he comes up with like logistics plans, uh and maybe how they lay out their communities and stuff like that. And so that seems to be the character he is, but he's also like trying to stay under the radar so that nobody in charge knows that he doesn't agree with their religion, and he doesn't really want to participate in the society that his book helped created. He just wanted to, reform government to make it work better for the current crisis that he sees. And so his character's okay, and then like so what's weird is that in season that's season 3 or 4, I don't remember. So in season 3 or 4, when all that's going down with him, he's like a skittish rabbit ready to run, right? And the main character kind of forces him into helping her out, and there's more than one moment where it seems like he's run off, and then he gets pulled back in. And so that's his character when they first introduce him for like a whole season. He's willing to help out, but he doesn't want to stick his neck out. He doesn't like the religious aspect of the society, but he also doesn't want to be involved in the meetings or anything going on. And like he won't attend the meetings that they have. He if they want to talk to him, they have to come to his house. And because he's their genius, I gotta get some food. He's their genius guy. Um, for coming up with their civics and stuff. They've got to. Let's see. I need to go southwest. Here we go. He's the. They come to see him every once in a while as a group, and like he's helping them plan out their supply lines and their marketing issues and their treaties. It's almost like he should be in charge of this country, but he's trying not to be. And so I don't know. It's just he's an interesting character, and then after that season, when they start showing him, now it's like all of a sudden he wants to be in charge, and I don't know why. I don't know why there's an abrupt shift, and so he's like maneuvering to make sure he's in charge of everything, and he suddenly has this grand plan that was never mentioned before about now that they've solved some of the issues they were having with pollution and stuff like that. He's ready to implement his actual civilization change. That's all the good things from the horrible country that he created. But uh, with none of the uh, religious restrictions on like women aren't allowed to read and write, that kind of stuff. And so, I don't know. It's such an abrupt shift from the character was before, and now he's like way more. I don't know what the word I just wanted to use there. He's way more conniving, not conniving. I guess conniving, sneaky. Conniving is not the word I was looking for though. Because like I really did enjoy. There was a spot where they have really strict rules on how you're supposed to interact with women, and of course the higher ups don't obey any of the rules. And the one of the guys, uh, so back in season, let's say season one, maybe season two. One of the higher ups, his handmaid, which is the focus of the show, kind of, um, tried to kill herself, and so they blamed him for his mistreatment of her, on causing her trying to kill herself and the baby that she'd had, and so they cut off his arm, and that's the punishment for what he'd done. They cut off his arm, and so now it's several seasons later, and this guy is back to being himself, and so he'd done it again, basically abused one of the handmaids, and so I mean, didn't basically, he did abuse one of the handmaids again. I mean, they're always abusing the handmaids according to the way you should treat people, but within their laws, he's abused the handmaids, and so they uh so Joseph wants to implement this place called New Bethlehem, and there's lots of the commanders are against it because it's that one's iron. Uh, sorry, I got distracted a bit there by the game, and so um, this guy has abused the handmaid, and they get proof of it, and then Joseph has him drug out of the restaurant where he's having dinner, or not dinner, sorry, breakfast, and executed publicly immediately on the steps of the restaurant in front of everybody. Dude, I totally lost my mind shaft. Also, where'd that zombie go? mine shaft that way. And I'm like, that's cool and all, and I really enjoyed that part, but this isn't the Joseph that we were introduced to. This is a totally different character, basically, now. And so I find that weird. I find it weird. Woo-hoo-hoo. I find it weird how much they changed him over the course of, and they weren't like, it's not like earned. Like, there's a big deal in the show about how he loves his wife, and so he doesn't want a handmaid. He doesn't go to the brothel. It's one of the reasons he tries to avoid those people. I think his wife's got schizophrenia, and the Gilead people are like, we don't believe in medicine practically, and so there's no anti-schizophrenia medicine for her, and so he has to keep her indoors, and so he doesn't want to ever go out, kind of thing, um, and so uh, and so this last season, he's like marrying a woman for political reasons, and now he's all up in the meetings, and he's not participating in the brothel, but he is at the brothel with all the other guys, and it's just such an abrupt shift in the character. Um, what's weird is they've got a character who could have filled that role, who's also in the same places, and I don't know why they didn't just fill out his character more, because he seems almost identical to where he's always been, and that's what's his name, Blaine. When the show started, he was the driver of the guy who's got the main character, and then they have a lot of they fell in love, I guess, and he's like the father of her Gilead baby, and so there's a lot of moments where they use the fact that he loves her to get her in and out of Gilead, to get her information, to rescue people, right? He's heavily involved in everything going on, and then they're like, over the course of the show, they just keep promoting him in the background. They don't ever show him actually do anything, but he keeps getting promoted, and so I find that weird that they didn't flesh out his promotions more. Or like, I think there's at one point where he's like supposed to be commander of the Chicago military forces, because they're fighting back against the Americans in Chicago, or Americans are fighting back against Gilead in Chicago, and so there's like a big war going on there for most of the show, although they barely show any of it, and so he's supposed to be like a general there or something. And he's like, I've got to go to the front, and I don't know when I'll be back. And then he never really leaves, and he's just always there. So I don't know what the point of that was. Like, I don't think there's ever a point on the show where he's just gone to Chicago leading troops. That never happened. Talked about it, and they acted like he went, but he's always there. I also think like there might be some disjointedness on the show because of the, listen, dude, there you go, because of the time jumps, because like I said, the show started and the little girl was like 4, and now she's like 12 or so. But yeah, it's yeah, and then the newest season that we're currently on is pretty good. It feels like it's back to its roots. I really felt like parts of season 5 and parts of season 6 here have been weird. Like okay, here's an example. Here's a good example of what I find weird. They do this whole thing where the Canadians are angry that the Americans are still refugees in their country. And so the now again, there's a world population decrease. Like the one of the people says that like she comes from a city in South America and they're maybe Central America or Mexico. I don't remember where she was from. Okay, it was not the United States. It was south of the United States borders. I just don't remember if she was from Mexico. She might have been from Mexico. So let's say Mexico, not South America. And she said that she comes from a city and that no child had been born alive in her city in 6 years. So that's what they're facing. Is like the absolute end of humanity, no children being born alive in places. And so that's maybe, who knows? I don't know. They don't really talk about it in other places. They only really talk about it in Gilead. So I don't know. They bring people in and they're like, "Oh, look, a baby," when they see a Gilead baby. And so I don't know. But so the Canadians start attacking the Americans, and you'd think that there wouldn't be enough people to care. Like if places haven't had babies in 6 years, then you would think that there would just be room for the refugees. I don't know why the Canadians care. And they so they attack the main character, and then her husband drags the guy out of the vehicle that he used to run her over, and they start fighting over a gun. And he punches the guy until the guy stops moving, and then apparently the guy dies. So now he's wanted for murder, and so they the American people are like, we can't get the charges dropped, but we can get you out of Canada to Alaska. And so they're supposed to get on this train to go to Alaska, right? So meanwhile, while that's going on, the woman who was married to the guy who had the main character back in the beginning of the show, she's also on the run at the moment from Gilead, sort of, and so she ends up on the train. She ends up on the train with the main character, headed out to Alaska. And then the people find out who she is, and they try to kill her. And so June, the main character, she shoves her off the train, and then sends her packing. And so she winds up at a community of religious women who I guess don't allow any men there. I don't know. They kind of hinted at that. And then June winds up in Alaska. And so then Joseph shows up at the religious commune and is like, "Hey, Serena, we need you to come back." And so Serena goes back to Gilead, and then June gets on board, or June gets to Alaska, and then gets a phone call that her husband has gone missing in the no man's land between Canada and Chicago. And so she immediately goes back. And I'm like, okay, so there was 0 point in all of this trying to get on board the train and go into Alaska and the religious community. None of that had anything to do with the story. None of it saved anybody. None of it progressed the storyline. What was the idea behind this? Why was this even a thing? Like, oh, okay, so June found her mother still alive. Good for her. But she still ended up back in Canada, back with the American operative that she deals with, back going into Gilead to do missions in Gilead. I'm just like, why didn't we just stay in Toronto? Find him not guilty of, find the husband not guilty, saying it was self defense, and then just continue on without all those episodes of trying to get to Alaska. What was the point of that? Because it made it seem like June and Serena were gonna, maybe forgive each other or something. It felt like maybe that's what they were driving toward, and but then it didn't matter. It didn't matter in the end. So I don't know what the point was. Okay. All right. I want to store this in here for bullet purposes. And then I am going to need to find coal next time. That will have to be a next time thing, though. But yeah, I don't know. It's back to being a lot better than the middle part for sure. Although the introduction of New Bethlehem's weird, and now they've got like a love interest for Serena that they just added. I guess I felt like the show should be wrapping up, but if maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe the show is not wrapping up like I thought it was going to. Because to me, after season four, it should have been a season of getting Hannah back from Colorado, and then that should have been it. That should have been the end of the series, basically, because it focuses on one character for the most part, and so it should just be her story and her getting free from Gilead. And then maybe you can just have some background thing about how the Americans are starting to win and whatever. Or maybe the Americans lose, whatever. However they want Gilead to wind up. Gilead definitely needs to be erased. Their whole lifestyle is just about one of the worst things I've ever seen. And it's way, way beyond what needs. I'm not saying they probably didn't need to take steps to, stop humanity's die off, but there are other methods, people. There are other methods. And, yeah. All right, well, with that. Oh, and I must be mid season 6, and it must have one episode a week because I hit the end and it wasn't the end of the season, and there aren't any more episodes. So, all right, with that, be bearing the small things, leave the light, and I will talk to you later.